Hi there, it's Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com. Here we're finally getting around to doing my top 10 list of cards that I'm looking forward to brew around from Magic Origins. Now, a lot of these have already, I've missed an entire 2 weeks of actually brewing with the new set, and I know that a lot of people have already taken these decks and actually gone crazy with a few of the cards. But nevertheless, each set that is released, I like to do a top 10 list, and I apologize for being delayed on this one. But this is my list that I made a couple weeks back, and I think it's still a pretty good list. And I'm excited, super excited to start doing brews around them. Now, I'm going to be going on vacation for a week, but I'm going to try to do some deck techs and have them on scheduled release on YouTube. One of the options on YouTube you can have is release it on a certain date and time. So there's going to be one per day for you guys to view while I'm on vacation with these top 10 lists. Hopefully I can get it done. I'm leaving Monday, so I have a few days to try to get this completed. And then that way you'll be able to see my first takes on these cards. And then when I get back, we'll actually do some gameplay with these specific cards. So starting off at number 10 is Days Undoing. This card is insane, and I'm going to say it right now. It's going to get broken somehow, whether it be by a brewer like myself or a pro player or just an obvious choice. Quickens went up a couple bucks after this was spoiled. I think that Quickens continue to rise. Quicken is the card that if you pay 1 blue, you can cast the next sorcery spell as an instant and draw a card. So you can cast this on your opponent's turn without the drawback of it ending your turn. The clause that it ends a turn is actually very, very huge. As if it didn't say that, there'd be so many decks that could just go infinite. But I still think the deck is very, very powerful. And I'm going to show you a deck tech today, actually. So I'm going to release it today and show you a deck tech that actually utilizes a few deck techs, 3 different deck techs that utilizes Days Undoing that don't really care if you end the turn because they're just trying to flood out their hand on a specific turn and then they need a way to refill the hand. So Days Undoing is perfect in like an Affinity Shell. We've already seen a Legacy, a Star City Open, that actually Star City Premier that topped 8'd with Days Undoing in an Affinity build, which I think is very easy to actually make that build into Modern. I also like this card a lot with cards like Faithless Looting or Simian Spirit Guide that are card disadvantage, or Elvish Spirit Guide even. So I think in Legacy, Elvish Spirit Guide and Simian Spirit Guide can work perfectly with Days Undoing. And any other card that, like Lotus Petal. So all of those you can just completely storm off on turn 1 and then refill your hand for like a turn 2 to try to go off again and still have, like, one of the things that in one of my old one of my old decks that uses is like Glimpse of Nature, but you need a way to set it up, but there's some enchantments that I like to use that returns all, I think it's called No Rest for the Weary, and then it returns all creatures that went to the battlefield that turn. So what you want to do is just want to get every one of those No Rest for the Wearies out on the battlefield on turn 1, and then turn 2 try to go off with, like, and then end the turn with the Days Undoing, fill back up your hand, and then try to do it all on turn 2 with a full hand, and all those cards already out on the battlefield. Cards like Evolutionary Leap will work with Days Undoing, where you just need to get those out early and then refill your hand. So anyway, I'll show you some brews. Maybe I'll try it with Legacy, but the 3 brews I have, 2 of them are in Modern, and 1 of them is in Standard. So looking forward to playing with this incredibly broken card. Next card on the list is Demonic Pact. I know that a lot of people have already done the Daring Thief combo. I am going to continue to try to find out a good... It is going to be, most likely going to be Sultai Demonic Pact with Daring Thief and Ashiok, and probably Evolutionary Leap again will be in that deck, as we're going to be grabbing creatures as well, and then we want a way to sacrifice our opponent's creatures. But Demonic Pact, basically you want to give it to your opponent and then make them lose the game, and you can do that through Daring Thief, and I believe that there's another card. Is it Stolen Goods? No, it's not Stolen Goods. It's some out of Figure Forge you can exchange it for 6 mana, and that is a hefty cost, but it's not too many turns past the Demonic Pact. But with Daring Thief, that's the whole thing. You can use like cards like Disperse or Reclamation Sage. Both of those are very easy to play in a Sultai build to actually destroy your own Demonic Pact. So if you have to with Reclamation Sage, kill your Demonic Pact after it's done the 2 or the 3 abilities, that's all fine and dandy. Also, you can just disperse it back to your hand and play it again for more I mean, it's just such card advantage even if you disperse it. That's 4 life, 4 damage. Target opponent discards 2 cards. You draw 2 cards. So you're going to have them discard, you draw 2, and 4 life. That is tons of value off the Demonic Pact. You can put it in some sort of Constellation type build if you're going to be recasting it with Disperse a lot. There's probably another bounce enchantment card that I don't even know of at the moment. I'm sure that Theros has some bounce enchantment cards, right? Yeah, there's got to be some that are in the set from Theros. It just either gets them back from the graveyard, bounces them, destroys them, whatever. I know they're going to be in there. So Demonic Pact, I think, is going to be a very, very worthwhile card to brew around, and there's going to be some fun outcomes with it. It's my personal achievement for this standard to kill someone with Demonic Pact by giving them Demonic Pact. All right, number 8 is actually 8, 7, and 6 are going to be an assembly of cards that go around the same deck that I really want to build an archetype around, and that's Thopter Spy Network at number 8, Pia and Kiran Nalar at number 7, and Hangarback Walker at number 6. So all of these are going to be utilized in a sacrifice artifact type deck. Now, one is going to help refill your hand through the Thopter Spy Network. So at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control an artifact, which is very easy through Darksteel Citadel being an indestructible artifact, you'll be able to put a 1/1 colorless artifact creature token with flying on the battlefield. And then when one more artifact creature control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. I know there's a card out of Origins that also puts a Thopter in and gives all your artifact creatures haste. I believe that's a 3-mana spell? A 3 or 4 mana spell, I can't remember, but there will be a way to give them haste. You also have the Hammer of Perforos that gives creatures haste. Plus, they put in artifact enchantments that will go well with Thopter Spy Network. You also have, I guess Ornithopter doesn't work that well because it has to deal combat damage. So there's a way that you have to make it bigger. There's a Lord now for artifact creatures. There's Shrapnel Blast that helps destroy artifacts and do 5 damage. You still have Ensoul Artifact on a Thopter token. Does not seem bad whatsoever to make it into a 5/5 flying creature. It seems like red blue Thopters is just begging to be brewed, and it's going to be through the Thopter Spy Network and Pia and Kiran Nalar and Hangarback Walker. Hangarback Walker also has a lot of. I was talking with I believe it was Guarzales I was talking to about Affinity. He's kind of the expert Affinity player. Go check his channel out. He writes for RogueDeckBuilder.com and also does some videos. Anyway, so Hangarback Walker just has amazing synergy with Arcbound Ravager and any other ways that puts counters like Steel Overseer. So Steel Overseer, Arcbound Ravager is Hangarback Walker is a perfect card for that type of deck because one of the problems with affinities it can be shut down by like Ancient Grudge and really Shatterstorm shuts it down. So when they go to Shatterstorm, what you're going to do is you're going to sack everything to Arcbound Ravager and then sack it to Hangarback Walker. And then the Walker gets Shatterstormed. And then you get a gazillion little 1/1 Thopter artifact creatures that you've just reset the board. And all you need is like a Cranial Plating or another Steel Overseer or another Signal Pest to really just grind down your opponent. So I think the Hangarback Walker is going to be that perfect fit in Affinity as well. So we get some very interesting artifact cards from this set. Number 5, and this card is already going up in price. It is being brewed like crazy as a value-based card, but I really like its implications in a synergy or just a combination deck, which is Jace Vryn's Prodigy. So this card is really cool. I really like it because it's one of those cards that can actually get back a card you mill. Like one of the problems with Rally the Ancestors, and of course everyone knows my obsession with Rally the Ancestors. It's one of my favorite cards ever printed. If not my favorite card, I mean, it's to the point where it might be my favorite card ever printed because the card is just bonkers fun. I still need to try it out on Legacy, which I think there's going to be a lot of cards that we can brew around in Legacy. Speaking of that, go back to that Days Undoing deck. We could just put everything in the graveyard on turn 1 and then fill back up our hand and hopefully hit a Rally the Ancestors and then get everything back, which will draw us a gazillion cards and storm off. That's a deck I'll have to show you. It's kind of an eggs type strategy in Legacy. But anywho, Jace's Vryn's Prodigy is so perfect Rally the Ancestors because Jace is its own way to cast back a a Rally the Ancestors that's been milled, when you flip Jace, which is very easy to do in any sort of self-mill type strategy, you can -3 Jace immediately to cast target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard this turn. And it gets, Rally the Ancestors gets exiled anyway, so big deal. So you'll be able to flash back the Rally the Ancestors and cast it from the graveyard, which is huge in Rally decks because, again, there's no worse feeling than casting a card like Commune with the Gods, or now we have Gather the Pack, and then actually just milling your Rally the Ancestors, which is the combo card you need to happen. There's some ways to get it back right now through Eternal Witness type effects. There's a new card out of, it's a zombie out of it's, I think it's 6 mana or 5 mana though, out of Origins that can get back a card from your graveyard. And there's also Den Protector, but those are both quite awkward with their Rally the Ancestors deck because it's Den Protector. To me, you have to cast it, then morph it, and that's usually not the ideal route you want to go. If Eternal Witness existed, it'd be a lot easier for Rally to come back. But since Eternal Witness is in Modern and not in Standard, Jace is perfect in Standard to be something that flashes it back. Plus, it's a 2 mana. Like, one of the cool things about Jace is, I'm not sure. We'll have to talk to a judge if it's an illegal target. If Jace then flips, does it get exiled with Rally? But you can rally back a Jace from your graveyard, and if any way to give them haste, like through Fanatic of or Mogus's Marauder, then you can use its loot ability and then flip it. And I'm not quite sure if it gets exiled or not. I'm thinking it might, just because it's not changing zones. It's still considered the same card, and Rally says it'll exile that card. It does say exile the creature, though. We'll have to check the wording. Someone weigh in on that to see if it works or not, but then that'd be a way through Rally that you could actually flip Jace and actually have a Planeswalker. So, you're just a sweet card. I'm sure this card is going to have multiple ways to brew around it. And if not, I mean, the value-based decks are going crazy about it because it is just a really good card right now with Delve-type strategies. Going in at number 4 is Starfield of Nyx. This card is the card that wanted to be printed in the good old Journey to Nyx or Theros block. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may return target enchantment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. As long as you control 5 or more enchantments, each other non-aura enchantment you control is a creature in addition to a type and has base power and toughness equal to its converted mana cost. I'm not really looking at... I mean, that's actually kind of cool with Languish and Damnable Pact, because it will give you a way to actually kill it. So, or Demonic Pact, which is the card that's R10. How do you... Demonic Pact, not Damnable Pact. Demonic Pact, it'll give you a way to actually destroy it if you give them all... You make them all creatures, or if you just attack in as a 4/4, maybe they'll end up blocking, or you can sack it through exploit. There's going to be some cool interactions with Starfield and Demonic Pact. But I'm just actually looking at that first clause. At the beginning of your upkeep, you return target enchantment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Self-mill type strategies. There's some enchantments that are pretty hefty converted mana cost in Standard right now, and we'll have to take a look at those and try to build a deck around that. It does take an entire turn to get going, but if you can get one of those hefty, expensive, really impactful enchantments back on the battlefield, and again, enchant creatures count, because you can get, right there, you can get back the good old, the Chromanticore is an enchantment. It's also a creature. You can also get back, and very, very powerful card. And the Doomwake Giant is another one. And I'm sure there's plenty of cards that I'm just not quite thinking of right now. This Starfield's going to be able to get back and then just go nuts with each turn just getting so much value on the field. So Starfield of Nyx definitely needs to be brewed around. I'm going to definitely going to look forward to doing so. Next card at number 3 is going to be Molten Vortex. Molten Vortex is going to be insane with Life from the Loam in Modern. And any other card that puts lands into your hand. I know that there is a lot of cards like that in Modern that you can search your library for a number of cards. Like Ranger's Path is one that puts 3. And isn't that in... Yes, that is in Standard right now. Not Ranger's Path. There's one out of... I believe Fate 4 searches your library for 3 land cards and puts them into your hand. Basic land, so that's a way to fill it up with Molten Vortex. And anything, again, that gets back lands from your graveyard, like Life from the Loam, is just insanely powerful with Molten Vortex. what's really cool with a self-mill type strategy is there is Commune with the Gods that can get enchantments. So you can use Commune with the Gods and grab Molten Vortex and throw everything else in your graveyard, which then with Life from the Loam can get them back. And I'm pretty sure that we can make this deck in a Life from the Loam type strategy. I was even thinking of this card is pretty bonkers with like Treasure Hunt in Modern, so maybe this will still take the place of Zombie Hunt. Even though Zombie Infestation is a way to discard them without a mana cost, but Molten Vortex might actually want to go in that deck as another card that you can use a lot of lands with. Most of your sources will have to be able to tap for red, but if you Zombie Hunt and then find Molten Vortex, or Treasure Hunt and find Molten Vortex on top of your library, then draw it next turn, and have like Reliquary Tower, at least that's going to guarantee that you're going to drop a land, and then it'll be increments of 2 more damage each turn. So the first turn, you might have enough sources to discard 2 lands for 4 damage, then the next turn for 6, the next turn for 8, because you'll have unlimited lands with Reliquary Tower to do so. So I'm going to look forward to trying a Treasure Hunt type or ability with Molten Vortex and see if it works or not. And then you still do have the other card, the 3 mana enchantment that does a similar ability as Molten Vortex. You have to discard a land to do 2 damage to target creature or player. So anyway, Molten Vortex is just begging to be brewed around. Number 2, this card's insanely good. We've already mentioned it, and it's probably the most powerful card as far as synergy-wise and brew-wise. It's very, isn't it called Survival of the Fittest, I believe, is the old version, but that puts it in the graveyard, so cards that utilize the graveyard went bonkers with it. But this one is actually Evolutionary Leap, which is sacrifice a creature, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card, put that card in your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any random order. Yeah, just an insanely good card. Evolutionary Leap is going to get any sort of value out of enter the battlefield or die effects. So we have an Aristocrats build that we're messing around with Evolutionary Leap. That's a big shout out to Morton. I'll show you that coming up when we get to the number 2 deck, our number 2 card on the series, Evolutionary Leap. And I also have a standard brew that's going to work out very well with Evolutionary Leap, just trying to get a bunch of cards into the graveyard. Yeah, even... like I said, any Aristocrats type build is just begging for this. Any die type effect is begging for this. I have a brew with it in Modern that uses the Burning Tree Emissary as well as the Fecundity, which says whenever a creature dies, draw a card. That creature's controller draws a card, and then you also have the Priest of the one that adds 3 mana when it comes into play. So just a lot of ways with Manamorphose that you can net up mana and then sacrifice them for another card. And this is going to finally allow this deck to work in Modern. So it's going to be pretty powerful as a 2-drop, getting value out of it just on turn 3. And like I said, Burning Tree Emissary will actually add the green to sacrifice it and net you up. Basically, well, it won't really net you up mana, but will net you up card advantage through getting mana and then drawing a card off of this Evolutionary Leap. And who knows, there might be a way through like Simian Spirit Guides and netting up mana that you can actually go crazy with this Evolutionary Leap. Maybe like a creature type Storm deck, and then you can think of even like Young Pyromancer as a way to sacrifice a bunch of creatures, just to sacrifice a bunch of Pyromancer's Ascension creatures. You can find more Simian Spirit Guides, for example. If you're playing in Legacy, you can find Elvish Spirit Guides, etc., etc. Alrighty, then on to my number 1 pick, which is just the blatant obvious card, which is Shaman of the Pact. This card is going to see a lot of play in Standard. I love this for a Rally the Ancestors brew. This currently what I'm playing in Standard is a Shaman of the Pact and Mogus Marauder Elf Reanimator type strategy with Rally the Ancestors. It also uses the Ambuscade Shaman as well as the Kiran Bloodsucker to combo off that way. And then also the Nantuko Husk as a way to sacrifice them. Probably going to put an Evolutionary Leap in that deck. I'm not quite sure yet if it wants to go in there. But reanimation and value is just begging. Like, there you go. With Evolutionary Leap and Shaman of the Pact is a great synergistic card because you do have the Elite that puts in a 1/1 elf if you control another elf, which is just fodder to eat. As you also have an Elvish Visionary that just wants to be eaten. and because you put it in play, draw a card, sack it, and eventually you can find all your Shaman of the Pack, and or just any other card that's impactful right now in Standard. You could find. You probably want to keep it with converted mana cost 3 or less, because I think Collected Company wants to be in that deck as well. But again, Mogus Marauder can go crazy with it. Shaman of the Pack is a black card, so it's going to be able to give itself haste, and then any other additional black sources, like, so if you hit 2 Mogus' Marauder, I'm sure you can give all of your creatures haste and then attack in for a win. You also have the 1/2 elf that is a black, basically swinging in for 2 damage. Each opponent that does not control an elf loses a life when you attack with it. So I'm sure we're going to be able to do a Mogus Marauder Shaman of the Pack type brew. Tons of ways. Just good stuff with Shaman of the Pack, elf ball with Shaman of the Pack, Reanimator, Mogus Marauder. Tons of ways with this card to just completely break it. So be looking forward to those cards that I will be doing the top 10 brews. So each one of these I've mentioned right now in this video, I'm going to be brew around. I'll try to release those in an increment of each day, and then I'll give you videos until I come back from vacation, and then we'll do some gameplay when I start getting all the cards needed. So right now, though, I am in desperate need of donations to brew around MTG Origins. We have this little donate button on the YouTube channel that you can donate. You can also, if you find me online, you can donate cards. Again, that won't be for a week because I won't be online for a week. I'm looking into a bot service to be able to donate your extra draft cards that you don't want. They'll help me brew. It's just getting very, very expensive to keep the maintenance of the site up, to try to invest towards. A lot of people want deck boxes, sleeves, and t-shirts. That's going to be a huge investment. And then also getting the Twitch channel up and running. I'm going to have to spend some money just trying to get some help with new software and what like that. But anywho, there's a lot of upkeep for the channel of Rogue Deck Builder, and it's getting too expensive, especially if the new changes do happen on MTGO. That's going to really, really put a damper on the amount of product that gets in the system, and it's going to be even more expensive to start brewing on MTGO. So I appreciate your donations, those of you who have donated. There's a PayPal button on RogueDeckBuilder.com. You can buy a playmat right now, which the proceeds goes toward me brewing more decks. Then you can also donate on YouTube, and we're going to be looking into another service later on when I hit 20 or 25,000 subscribers. So if you enjoyed this list, please, please, please at least share it with your buddies and get some more people into the brewing community. We have a Facebook page, we have a Reddit page, we have a website, we have a lot of ways you can interact with fellow brewers. And I'd love to see your own top 10 list and your own specific brews for these cards. Maybe we'll do some competition in the future with the Rogue Master Brewer with a specific top 10 list from Origins. Anywho, this has been Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com. Thanks for watching.